everyone, and welcome to the High Five Preschool and Kids Weekly Training Podcast. My name is Rachel, and I'm here with Jeremy and Crystal. And this month, we are teaching our simple truths, I am broken, and God cares when I hurt. In preschool, we are teaching help is on the way, God cares when I hurt. And we are teaching kids that they are broken through the theme SOS. This week, we are in all four Gospels, and we are learning that we need God's compassion. So let's get started with the get to know you question. So, Jeremy, Crystal, what are your favorite ways to help others?
Well, I'll jump in on this one because we're talking about jumping in and helping people, and I'll just jump in and answer the question. So, listeners, I don't know if you've ever familiar with the Working Genius, and it's okay if you're not, but it's not a Lifeway thing. It's like a leadership type, personality-esque type thing. Anyway, one of those is it's called enablement, and that's like my highest off the charts Working Genius, and the reason for that. When I saw that, I was like, yes, this makes so much sense. I find myself so often in. So your question is, what's my favorite way to help others? And I don't know that I have a favorite way. It's just that I want to help. Like I just, in fact, I literally texted somebody, one of our teammates this week, and said, that's just my enablement showing. Like I'm always like, I just feel compelled to always try to jump in and help. If I see it's in fact, and another thing, though, years ago, it was one of my older kids' favorite movies. It's the Robots movie. One of the quotes from that movie that I say and use a lot is see a need, fill a need. And that's in my brain. That's what it, like, that's me. Like I'm the character Big Weld in that movie says, and I'm always saying that. My kid, like, if I see something, I want to jump in and help. I can hardly stop myself. If I recognize somebody needs something, and it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's money or a ride or help moving or like whatever it is, like I want to jump in and help. So that's not really my favorite way, but it's just to say that's me. I just any way I can jump in and help, I'm going to do. If I have any way that I possibly can, I'm going to jump in and help.
Interesting. I think it's easy for me to think of ways I don't like to help. I do not like to bring people meals. I think I already don't want to cook for myself. I don't want to cook for anybody else either. And especially you got to figure out, like, do I make it ahead of time? Are they heating it up or whatever? So this might sound weird, but I think that it is true. Jeremy, you're talking about enablement, which is like one of my weaknesses. Like it's so far down on mine, but one of my top ones is galvanizing, which I almost like to call being a cheerleader. And so I would say I like to help by helping people have fun. I have started this thing where I've been making a fun with a friends calendar, and I send it to a group of about 15 ladies every single month. I mean, I say every single month, I've done it twice, but it's just got fun stuff to do throughout the month. Some of it is you do on your own. Some of it is you join me. I had a murder mystery party that I hosted at my house. We've done a shop local, like where we went downtown, went to a local bookstore, went to a local restaurant. And I have had so many ladies who tell me, I love that you do this. Like, I want to do more things with friends. I want to get out of the house. And like, they're not even all people who know each other. They're getting to know each other through these activities. But so I would say my favorite way to help people is to help them have fun.
So I'm going to jump back in because I think that not only do you help people have fun, but we mentioned in previous episode about the fitness challenge that we just finished here at work. And I often call you the queen of galvanizing because it's not just that you like to help people have fun. Like, you like to cheer people on. People on our team needed that. Like, they needed help in that way. Like, oh, my motivation's really, really low. And here you come with, a strong word of a cheer, right? You're cheering us on. And that is a way to help. And so while that's not, maybe not the traditional way we think of helping, I think that gift of encouragement, that galvanizing gift of encouragement is so, so important to help. Because I know, like, on our fitness challenge, I see how you do this, Crystal, with our team. So, 100%, I think that's good for you.
Well, I was thinking that I think it's so funny because I'm also in one of my high Working Geniuses is also enablement, Jeremy, and low is galvanizing for me, Crystal. But I was thinking about enablement and how I'm similar. where if there's a friend who's going through a tough time, I want to cook them a meal. I want to be like, here's a meal. Or I am like let me come do a couple loads of laundry, or let me do a clean, or just something to take like an ordinary thing off your plate. So
Yeah.
enablement is high for me. So I understand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But today we're talking about how we need God's help and compassion. And so it's really incredible how we've all been gifted to help in different ways, to galvanize or to enable, and how we can help people with their different needs, just within the giftings of the three of us right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty incredible because we can see a need, like you said, and fill a need or meet a need. But God sees all of our needs, and he meets
Mm-hmm.
us where we have needs, and he meets us with compassion, which is pretty incredible. And I think it's incredible how God doesn't only see our needs, but he meets us. He meets our
Mm.
needs. He provides for us, and he meets us with compassion and help. So in our Bible story, Crystal, this Bible story features an incredible miracle. How
Mm.
can it help preschoolers and kids recognize that they need God's help and compassion?
I really love that we get to do this Bible story. I'm always fascinated reading the Bible and specifically reading the Gospels, and how there's certain things that we read in one gospel that's not in the others, or it's in two or three, but there's not a lot that we see that is the same in all four, that have the same story in all four. But this is one that we get to see in all four gospels, and it is when Jesus provided bread from heaven. And so, to set context for the story, Jesus has spent a lot of time teaching. He's gone on the Sea to Galilee. There's a whole story that happens there, but we don't get into that in this story. And then when he reaches the other side, there's a giant crowd that's just waiting for him. And they're like, we want more. We want more. Can you imagine if that happened at our churches, by the way, that people are just lined up at the door being like, I want more teaching. I'll sit
Yeah,
here
for real.
all day. I'll travel from so far. Like, I mean, I don't know. Again, nothing to do with the Bible story this week, but I just think that's something that we can be praying for our churches. But so Jesus teaches, he teaches, and they're there for such a long time. Everybody starts to get hungry. Again, amazing that they were sitting there for so long, like they missed meals. And so Jesus looks to his disciples and he's like, what are we supposed to do? And they're like, you got to send these people away, and uh, we what are we supposed to do? And he says, well, let's feed them. And they're like, we don't have enough food. We couldn't even buy enough food to feed all of these people. And so this young boy brings his lunch. It's got a couple of fish, a couple of loaves of bread. And Jesus is like, this is what they need. And I'm sure the disciples were like, I mean, this is enough for one of us. But we've got thousands of people sitting here. And then they start to distribute the food. Jesus prays, they distribute the food, and it does not run out. And they end up collecting more than they even started with after everybody ate and was full. That just boggles my mind what it would have been like to be there and see that happen and feel it happen, to be eating this food. And anyways, what's incredible about the story is that Jesus saw the need of the people in that place and he met their need. We see it in two ways. Number one, they were hungry. They were physically hungry, and Jesus met that need. He saw them, he loved them, and that is what compassion is. I know in preschool we say that Jesus helped them, but it's essentially he helps by showing compassion, and compassion is seeing a need and taking action to help that need. And so that's what he does. Jesus met their need of being hungry, but also they were hungry for him. They were hungry for truth. They were hungry for encouragement and teaching and conviction. And Jesus met that need. He didn't want them to leave. He wanted to feed them there so he could continue to give them the spiritual food that they really wanted. And so what's neat is that preschoolers and kids can see this week that God sees everything that they need, and he meets that need with help and with compassion. He gives them everything that they need through his love, through his presence, through his provision. He sees our needs and he responds with compassion. He doesn't respond with anger. He doesn't respond with judgment. He doesn't say, you need to come 50% of the way and I'll come for 50% of the way and we'll meet in the middle, but you need to do some work. No, he sees the needs that are in us caused by our sinful brokenness. And with compassion, he meets those needs. So we need it. We'd be lost without God's loving compassion.
That's incredible, Crystal. Thank you for talking us through the Bible story and how we too can recognize our need for God's
Yeah.
help and compassion. So, Jeremy, how can we help preschoolers see the similarities and differences of God's help and compassion versus the help and compassion that we receive from people?
Yeah, so this potentially can be a little bit of a fine line to walk, particularly with preschoolers. I think there's going to be a probably help is help for preschoolers. I don't know that preschoolers are going to start to really see differences. Kids, we can start to unpack a little bit more of the differences between people who are just benevolent people that are just doing good in the world. So I think there could be a little bit trickier conversations in kids more so than in preschoolers. But here's how I would line it out is that when we see people the way God sees them, when we're seeing them through His eyes, and we really want to motivated to see them that way, and motivated by God's help and compassion, really like we see in this story from Jesus, that takes us to a place of the ultimate end of that is that God receives the glory. We don't find ourselves in a situation where we're saying, hey, look how great we as people are, or our church is, or things like that. Our churches should be about doing good things and helping in our communities, in our cities, and missions, or even around the world that we can be doing. And so I'll just kind of a rabbit trail here, say this is a great story and opportunity for preschoolers and for kids is to highlight some of those ministries in your church, that if you're serving, whether it's serving the homeless, or I know in our town we have a thing where we have churches rotate, and like women and children who are homeless can like stay at their church. And so there may be ways that your church is already serving in ministries and doing these helps ministries in your community. And so this is a great opportunity to highlight some of those, particularly for your kids, but also for your preschoolers, to raise that awareness that, hey, this is some of the way that we as a church are living out God's help and compassion in our community. But oftentimes, so again, for preschoolers, help just may be help. Like we say, people are doing good, they're helping. Ultimately, we want God to get the glory. And that's ultimately what we know. When Jesus did a miracle in the Gospels, it was for him to show the glory of God to the people. And so in this case, for whenever multiplies the food and has these 12 leftovers, Crystal, when you were talking a second ago, I could just, this is not biblical, but I could just see Peter being like, okay, that's good. Where's everybody else's? Like, like this is good for me. But we know that Jesus' goal of doing miracles in scriptures was to help people, to meet them where they are. That's his help and compassion on display. We see that over and over again. But when he did miracles, it was often to show his power connected to God's power as the Son of God, and to give God the glory. And so when we do helps type ministries in our church, our churches should be motivated to see people the way God sees them, and to let that live out, and to give God the glory while we're meeting needs. Again, when you get into kids areas, they may even ask questions. Well, what about so-and-so who, I saw on YouTube's giving Mr. Beast, for example, giving a whole bunch of money to a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that good work that he's helping meet needs? Well, of course it is. He's doing well. But who gets the glory out of a YouTuber or somebody like that? Well, it's that YouTuber that gets the glory, not God's not getting the glory for that. So when we talk about the similarities, it's meeting the needs and helping meet people where they are. That God is about doing that, and we as churches should be about doing that, the same thing. but where we as Christians have the opportunity to go the extra step is not just meet the physical needs, but meet that spiritual need. That I am
Yeah.
broken. That God helps when I hurt. God
Mm-hmm.
cares when I hurt. Going beyond the physical to meet the spiritual need, even if they don't know they need it, but to point to God as getting the glory, and that ultimately we're pointing to God as the one who ultimately cares and has
Yeah.
compassion on you. And so I think preschoolers and kids can both start to see that element, that the motivation of the help really comes from that God gets the glory, and we're doing it because we see them how God sees them. We
Mm-hmm.
may meet the physical need first. That's often a great place to start, a good tangible spot, and then we quickly are going to move that into a place of spiritual need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jeremy. Thank you. In a similar line of thinking, but getting a little bit more specific into our leaders, Jeremy and Crystal, what does it look like for leaders to demonstrate this kind of help and compassion to preschoolers and kids?
Don't you love that one of the ways that they talk about God's patience is long suffering?
Yeah.
And, I think that often with Jesus walking with his disciples and the sheer amount of long suffering and the patience he demonstrated as they, made foolish decision after foolish decision. And so that in and of itself, I think, is meeting a need. It's acting compassionately, as that he stayed consistent and kind and loving. He didn't say, I've already told you guys this 10 times. Why are you not getting it? Get your act together. And so I think that we can follow that example when we are leading in kids ministry, because I will be the first to admit I have had times when I've got kids that I am like, I'm done. I have no more patience. I have nothing left to give you. I want to pass you on to somebody else, or I want to get you busy with a worksheet in the corner. Like, I just have nothing. And so recognizing that when we find ourselves getting at our wits' end, and it's usually not all the kids, it's usually one or two kids, but to just pause for a minute and say, okay, obviously I don't have it in me, in my own strength right now, to keep meeting the needs of this kid, being compassionate, being loving and kind. I need God's help. And we just pray and say, God, help me right now. Help me to show your love and compassion to this kid. Help me to help the way that you would if you were in my shoes, because you see that I'm getting frustrated. You see that I have no patience. You've seen me snapping. I am so sorry. Forgive me. Please help me. And then to even admit to the kid, like, hey, I'm having a little bit of a hard time today, but I really want to be here for you. How can I help? What do you need? And so just being even willing to admit, like, oh, it's hard for me today, but I want to do this. So be patient with me as I try and love you compassionately. So yeah, asking God for help, and then just letting people know we're trying to.
Mm. Crystal, that is so insightful. Because I was thinking about, well, what would I say? And I was like, I don't. Man, you came at that a completely different direction, and I love those tips. I've got one that's very similar to that, and that is what I've had to do. I've got a challenging group of first graders that I'm teaching this year, and there's a couple that are just very behaviorally challenged. They're kind of, and so I know that I have to cover in prayer going into the session before Sunday morning. I know that I have to, Lord, even if I know about myself, Lord, I'm empty today, or Lord, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm filled up today and ready to go, but I please help me to be in the moment and be ready to help with these children. Just this past Sunday, for example, they were all like super wild. Kind of
Mm,
like the first Sunday after school had let out, and the
yeah.
holiday and all things, and like they were all, and I'm down on one knee, I'm telling the Bible story, and they just were chattering like, oh, so, and I felt it in the moment. So, Crystal, I had an opportunity to practice what you were saying. I was like, Lord, I do not know how to get these kids back on track. I'm at a loss. I don't know how to I can't bring this back together. So it wasn't like a specific need. It more than the need to focus and listen to the Bible story of what we were trying to do. Um, so absolutely prayer ahead of time, prayer in the moment, ask for God's help. The Spirit of God is with us, and He wants to
Mm-hmm.
help us to see people through his eyes and to
Yeah.
then meet the needs, whatever those needs are, which is really the second side of the thing, as I would say, is one of the things I love about Hi-Fi is the emphasis we put on getting to know your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so not often, maybe not the first day a child shows up, although there's that meme that says everybody has secrets until it's prayer time in kids ministry. But some you may not always hear about like tangible needs in a kid's life and their family life. You may not hear about that, but that's another matter of prayer. Lord, as I'm talking to little Johnny, like help me to listen and be sensitive and hear if there's things and there are ways that I can help and that we as a church can come around this family. If you know that the family's going through a difficult time, like there are things you can do. So the more we get to know our kids that we serve, the more we have our eyes and our ears and really our spirits tuned in to listen to things that the Holy Spirit might be prompting us. Hey, here's a thing in this child's life, or here's a thing in this child's family. And so just being aware that a next level of the belonging piece that we often talk about in Hi-Fi, that relational component is getting insight into things that happen outside the walls of the church. And
Yeah.
when you hear those things, you're not going to make a big deal about them in the moment. You're going to mentally put the little mental Post-it note on it and then go talk to, if you're the kids ministry director, maybe you're going to talk to your senior pastor. If you're a volunteer, listen to this, maybe you're go talk to your kids ministry director and just say, hey, I heard this. And I don't know if there's something we can do as a church to come alongside or as a ministry to come alongside. And so just be looking
Mm-hmm.
and listening for those opportunities, knowing that the Spirit of God may want to use you to identify a need and help in that situation.
That's really good advice. Thinking about being looking with our eyes open about what's
Mm-hmm.
going on in the lives of the kids and preschoolers we serve. And
Yeah.
also I loved the reminder to see the kids and preschoolers we serve like God does, to ask
Mm-hmm.
God to help us to see them with loving eyes and compassionate eyes. That's such a great reminder. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for joining us, for using Hi-Fi, and for building real connection and true belonging in the ministries you lead. Until next time, know we are praying for you and cheering you on.